What is going on, everyone? We are back with another music reaction on Depraved.
I'm Hellcat.
And together we are
HellaDepraved.
Okay, so the last song Skynd put out, or the one before it, I don't remember which one, but we had heard prior to that to one of those reactions, that she had done.
Oh, it was before the last one, yeah.
John Wayne Gacy live
At a concert.
And there were videos of it, and like somebody had given us the link, and we never went and watched it or reacted to it because we also know usually when a concert show pops up where she does a song that doesn't have a video, soon,
yeah,
ish,
there's
a video to come. And I'm one of those people, I would rather react to pure in the head music.
Yeah, lives are kind of hard.
I barely
not that great.
I barely like going to concerts, let alone watching concert footage. Now that I say that, but you know,
That's
I do like
variable.
going to concerts.
Yeah. But
it's
audio
more I
quality
just don't like going
is
out
not
in
the
public.
best. Yeah.
But we're here.
And since this was the one you were the most excited about in their entire catalog of work so far,
Well,
in terms of knowledge,
before we knew this was a thing, I think one of the reasons somebody pointed out, because I'd even said if there was one serial killer I would want them to do a song based off of,
right?
It would be John Wayne Gacy, and that's when somebody had said, "Hey, she actually has one." It was at a concert.
Right.
She said, "Here's the reason." John Wayne Gacy is the serial killer that inevitably sparked my interest in serial killers. When I was sophomore or junior in high school, I don't remember which one. I want to say probably junior. I took psychology as one of my high school courses, and one of the things that our teacher did was he passed one of the very first things that our teacher did is he passed this paper around that had this list of serial killers, and everybody had to pick one and then mark it off. Whichever one that they picked, they would mark it off. The paper would go to the next person. And of course, my initial thought was I wanted to do like H.H. Holmes, Jeffrey Dahmer.
Right. Someone you had already heard about.
Somebody that I was at least somewhat familiar of. Ed Gein.
Right. But by the time the paper got to
me,
these stories go.
Almost all of the known ones were gone. And I seen John Wayne Gacy, and I was like, I recognize the name,
right? But
I didn't know much about it. So that's who I picked. Started my report, ended up watching an actually really good movie of his life. Obviously, you know, things were changed.
Right.
But watched that, read several books, did my report, and then, of course, just recently Netflix put out a John Wayne Gacy Confessions series.
He's an obnoxious little twerp.
He really is.
Yeah.
But yes, over and above all, he was the one that got me more interested in serial killers. After that, I started just reading up on them on my own. And for those of you that are wondering, when I say it sparked my interest in serial killers, it's more of the psychology behind them.
Right. And
trying to figure out what makes them do the things that they do. Now, I am also morbid, and I do find some of the ways that they kill people rather entertaining.
I find the whole thing fascinating, but mostly from a psychological standpoint.
Right. I hate people that use guns. At least, you know, be close to the person.
Creativity.
Huh?
Creativity.
Right.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like if you're going to do it, you should do something that you're face to face and have to take the consequences of your actions.
And also, the more fucked up, the more interesting.
It's the morbidity in us, but you know.
Anyways, so yeah, we're super excited for this. We have wasted 5 minutes. So,
oops.
We're gonna react.
Was it really a waste?
Never.
Right.
We're gonna react to this. If you guys have already seen it.
I'm so excited.
Huh?
I'm so excited about this.
Me too. If now you made me forget where I was at. We're gonna react to this. If you guys have already seen it, if not, click the link in the description below. Hop on over to all things coming back. Mr. Expert Commentary Reaction Breakdown Comedy Channel. And what that means is we will pause for any and or all of the above. It is time to slice it up, break it down. This is Skynd, John Wayne Gacy.
All right.
Let's get it. Have we had issues with their videos before?
No.
Okay. Let's get it.
He always looks so amazing.
Oh no, Dad. It's okay, Dad. You're just boozing, I'm just cruising. We can hold back. Come on, Dad. It's okay, Dad. We're just bruising, it's amusing. We can go back. Oh, such a pretty face made to the liver. Exit through the crawl space or into the river. Drop the charges for the ultimate thrill. Kentucky Fried Chicken and kill.
Oh God. Oh God. I would say I'm never gonna look at KFC the same, but I honestly really like KFC, so there is that.
I like that Kentucky Fried Chicken and kill. The beginning playing into what I believe is Gacy talking to his dad.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was supposed to be.
Because I definitely think that played a big part in his psyche.
Yeah.
Well, because his dad was a
doubly so, though, because his dad was a cunt to begin
piece
with.
of shit.
He was an awful, yeah. But on top of it, he died while Gacy was in prison the first time for the molestation charge of his boss's son. And he never got to make his peace, or whatever you want to call it. But because that was one of the things his dad had been so severe about, was a man's role versus a woman's role, and feeling like his weakling son was too effeminate.
Which is actually probably one of the big things that got Gacy into being a clown. It's basically like putting makeup on.
But, you know, he was, the first time he was put away for molesting a teenage boy. And so, yeah, so okay, Dad, it's just, you know, it's all in fun. We're just, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Kentucky Fried Chicken and kill.
I think this is the first time I've heard her use all the victims'
I really
names.
like that. Well, all the ones that have been identified.
Well,
I really
there was
like.
one in there where she said someone.
Maybe you.
Which is, no, earlier.
Right.
Which I think is a representation. I think there's still 4 or 5 people that they have yet to identify.
I think it's closer to 4
I know they
now.
just recently, within the last couple of years, identified one of them.
I think it's 4. I could be wrong, but yeah.
If you watch the confession tapes of Gacy, I love the way they ended that. They actually have a list of how many are still left that are unidentified, as well as if you think one of your loved ones.
Right. And they're doing DNA confirmations at this point. But yeah.
I like this.
Okay, so again, I like that she's really representing the victims here, because they're the ones that should be the main story.
Well, here's the thing that she's doing that's also different. She's actually doing both. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that is because, in a way, he himself was also a victim of his upbringing.
Yeah.
Now, I also love what she's doing with the video, too. Because
by the way, that does mean we give sympathy to him as a child, not as an adult. He made his own choices.
But like, he's the moments where he's like putting on makeup, but then he'll have moments where he just starts banging his hands on the table. He was very quick to anger.
Oh, very.
Which showing through the video, and he's not even with anyone. He's just
yeah. He seemed to have some sort of like emotional
bipolar, probably.
No, it seemed like immaturity. A lot of people that have been through abusive situations, and his was not by far the worst, but
right.
They tend to just sort of peter out at a certain maturation in terms of especially emotions.
Right.
But I do like that she's going back and forth, like the 33, but then and you can kiss my ass. Those would be his last words.
Suspected. There
As
are
reported.
rumors that he didn't actually say anything.
Right.
And one of the people could have just said
Yeah, it's possible.
to make it seem worse. Now, I also believe he probably did say it personally because he was that kind of person. But
yeah, he actually, very petty.
Huh?
He was very petty.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And you can kiss my ass.
I love the almost circus music.
Funeral parlor decoy, nothing to rack up. Little Gacy fat boy deep under the makeup. Man of the year, man of fear, man of will. Join the Jolly Joker Club and kill.
John Darrell, Randall, Sam, Michael, Billy, Jordan, who, Ricky, someone, Kenneth, who, Michael, Willie, Brian, the boy, and John, Matthew, boy, and Rob, and John, Austin, Robert, and Tommy, and David, and Dave, Timothy, Frankie, and James.
Whoever they got to be the fucking actor in this actually looks
Putting
a
on
lot
the makeup,
like John.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
Again, so here's the thing. I love how Skynd does the voice modulation for all of their stuff. Occasionally, it takes me a second listen, normally not more than that, to understand all the lyrics. And this is one of those that she's going from extreme highs to lows, which tricks my ears. So it will take me more than this first time through to catch all the lyrics.
Right.
But so far, I love the sound of it. I have caught most of the words, but I love it sonically.
Right.
Because it is that split personality, too. I mean, even though part of it seems like it's representing victims versus him, you know, or the light side and the demonic side, or it's also his split personalities, because he was known as, you know, a huge help around town. He was politically involved. He was involved with what he thought was entertaining, so on and so forth. People thought he was a good guy, too.
Right. There was something I was going to say. I don't remember what it was now, so I'm
Sorry.
going to go back a little bit.
John Darrell, Randall, Sam, Michael, Billy, Jordan, who, Ricky, someone, Kenneth, who, Michael, Willie, Brian, the boy, and John, Matthew, boy, and Rob, and John, Austin, Robert, and Tommy, and David, and Dave, Timothy, Frankie, and James.
I think there's a couple instances where she's... Because I'm definitely hearing her say something about someone, but then she's also saying, like, another boy or stuff like that. So I definitely think she's also got other placements for the unknown
It's possible.
in there.
Yeah. Who else? That's definitely very Gacy. He did say some of that stuff, and it's sad that they were 33 toys, you know. And
Well, if you remember, there was that time in one of his interviews, he'd even brought up how mad he was that they were digging up the bodies out of his home, because he was like, they're my property.
Well, it wasn't just that they were on his property; they were his
That's
property.
what I said.
Yeah,
They're my property, is what he
But
said.
so how he started off in that interview was, when you pay for something, it's yours and you can break it if you want to. Now, he was talking about hookers at the time, which, you know, I don't subscribe to even calling them hookers. They are, you know, sex workers. But the problem is that's it's still a person you're talking about. That's not how it's supposed to work, but that's how he thought things worked. And again, he wasn't even using sex workers. These were...
He was hiring teenage... Well,
he was hiring them for his construction site.
Construction, painting, whatever. He had like an all-in-one type of...
Right. Or
thing.
He was picking up hitchhikers, or...
There were a couple prostitutes he picked up, but...
But, again, it's still... You know, so anyway, then, yeah, his complaint was that he had buried them where he wanted them, and they had no right to dig them up because that's where he wanted them, and they were his property. And it was like, wow, the gall of this dude to be in prison across from detectives being taped, and to have that mentality is just, you know, so her bringing that up and then saying, and now everyone's sad, but you can kiss my ass, is just like, it shows you, if you haven't watched anything that actually has him speaking on it, how out of touch with humanity he really was, because he didn't understand why people were sad. He didn't, like, they were...
I wonder if she's going to bring up at some point his whole mentality. Do you that one segment where he was like, "Oh yeah, I have sex with men, but that doesn't make me gay because I'm not intimate." He's like,
I'm one of those people that does yell at the TV. That is probably one of my toxic traits. I'll admit it openly. But I was so mad at this because he's like, there are only 3 different types of sexuality. There's heterosexuality, which is where a man and a woman, not only, he had some, like, it was a far-fetched, like, not only have sex, but can love each other, or something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing. There's homosexuality, where people of the same gender can have sex and love each other. But then there's homosexuality, or bisexuality, which is when you can have sex with anybody and not love them, not care. And that's what I am. And I'm like, no, dude, that's not how that works. That just means you're a psychopath. Bisexuality does not mean that. In fact, I'm pretty sure if you would be classified as anything, it's pansexual, because I honestly think he would fuck anything that moved.
right.
And still not care because he's a psychopath, not because he is that sexually driven. However, according to his last wife, it is more likely he was homosexual, because he made all the excuses under the sun to not have sex with his wives, and then he would hang out with his friends in the garage, which tended to be his younger workers.
Victims.
Well, they didn't all turn into victims while he was still living with his wife. But yeah, I mean, like, to be.
Right.
Which is just sad. How can anything, like, that's not friendly. I don't care if it's clown or not. It's not friendly. Is she gonna say friends? Is she gonna say clowns can get away with murder?
Ah, I hope so. I hope so.
Clothing chloroform, leaving nothing much to find. Road signs flying by in a twilight state of mind.
She's gonna say lime.
Norwood Park's right, the rest for you guys to find. 33 and more, and across
Practicing in the mirror. Ew, stop. I do love how they have him practicing in the mirror.
Oh, wow. That was really good.
It was really good. If I remember correctly, they started out at the beginning. She had mentioned the butcher too, which is, I believe, his dad's profession. But a lot of things were mentioned in this. She did a really good job because, of course, you can't bring everything into one track.
No.
She also mentioned either under the floor or in the river, which was the other place he started depositing after his floor space.
And so, I mean, obviously there were some things that, like, more of the, unless you watch the true crime shows or research on him, there were definitely some things that, like, I would have loved to have been used that are more like, if you know, you know.
Yeah, but again, if you know, you know. I mean, like, I think she did a fantastic job.
She did fantastic, and I don't want her to change
like that
it at all.
already.
Right.
You know?
But there was definitely
I think it could have ended.
References I would have loved to have seen before you completely make me forget. The bad ticker, like having a bad heart,
right?
That he always used to get out of getting his ass beat.
He said he had an upside down heart, like he believed it was anatomically possible.
And then the one that you'd mentioned,
I said, like, I think the very ending when the music is going down could have ended with just a whisper, because clowns can get away with murder, and that would have sold the entire track and every hope and dream I had for it. I love it, though. She
didn't really have any of the political or townsperson references.
No, but I think she did pull off his persona. Again, she might have, and it could have just been
over our heads.
In some of the stuff that we lyrically couldn't parse out this time through. But I honestly... This is such a good job, and I wouldn't have wanted her to replace
anything with,
especially not like the names that she listed off and everything, because I think that they're often neglected. And 33 is what we know about, because as you've pointed out and other people have pointed out, he traveled a lot for his business, and to have only, and I say that just because of time spent elsewhere for him. I'm glad. Unless it was because he wanted to own their souls and his whole keeping them with him type thing. I don't know.
I'm glad that there was one time where I almost was kind of graded until she finished her sentence. Because she said 33 boys in the crawl space of my mind. And at first when she said in the crawl space, I was ready to pause it until she said of my mind, because it wasn't, all 33 weren't found in his crawl space. It was 33 combined with what was in the crawl space and what was found.
I think it was 27 in the crawl space, like another 3 on his property, and then 3 that he had to dispose of in the river based on not having any more space. It's something like that.
But no, that's why I don't always necessarily pause immediately. So when she finished it off, I was like, okay, that makes sense.
I thought she was going to go someplace with lie. Like the line that he
that's I don't know if you heard what I said. I was like, is she going to say lime?
Oh, no.
Because he definitely thought that was going to it didn't help with anything. But...
Oh, no. They said when they got down there that the floor was rolling. Now, that's kind of gross. I mean, like, I'm not particularly squeamish about anything, but I have seen a rolling mass of maggots before. You don't want to.
Right.
No, there was plenty of stuff that she did. The ending part 2, when she went into the list of names, I felt was even more poignant because she used the full list all at once. So I don't know if you've heard in the couple she did before, it's like she repeated some of the names because she repeated sections of it, and then ended with someone, maybe you, or, you know. But that last one, she did the full list of known names. I really think that, you know, she manages to pull these off in a way that gives so much respect. Well, as much respect as can be given while still bringing up the psychopaths, you know. But in doing so, she also doesn't make these people seem particularly... She doesn't romanticize them, you know what I mean?
Right.
She puts together tracks that pretty much displays them all in their utter psychopathic glory. So I think that that's a good way to do it. I thought this was fantastic. I'm glad this finally came out. And her as a ringmaster, she looks amazing. I think that was a wonderful way to go about doing this, especially since it looked like she was almost showing the pictures of the victims, and in a way she was the ringmaster of his brain as she was singing, you know.
Right.
He had a crazy circus going on in there full time.
No, I was looking up, so there's a chance she wasn't repeating at all. I mean, it sounds like repeating, but he had quite a few that had the same name as someone else.
Yeah. That's what I thought at first, that there was no repeating. But then when she did the list of names at the end there, I either caught way more.
Because there were three Johns.
Right.
It looks like a couple Williams, a couple Roberts.
Yeah, no, people need to get more creative with the naming.
Oh, shit.
Anyway.
I loved it, though. It's definitely going on my Halloween playlist.
Yeah. Anyway, it was a good one to wait for. I'm glad that we didn't react to the live version, because then we couldn't have brought you this, and they did get a fantastic actor. The whole setup for this was, it adds to the fact that he was not the fun kind of clown. Right. And it really showed his kind of unstable mentality, no matter how well he managed to learn to fake it.
Right. And for those of you that don't know, if you look in the description below, there is a playlist. It's a Spotify playlist where we put all of our stuff that we deem Halloween or spoopy worthy.
Yeah. Goes
on that playlist. It's linked to Spotify, so if you have a Spotify and you want to check out that playlist, it's quite a big playlist at this point.
Quite.
So. Alright, so if you guys liked the video, slash that like button, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. Comment down below, what did you think of Skynd with John Wayne Gacy? Also comment down below if there's anything else you guys want to see us react to. Check the description below for all the things.
Push our buttons. Come join us on our other social media platforms, mostly Twitter if you want a quicker response.
We love you guys. Thank you all for watching, and we cannot wait to see depraved people later. Peace.